So, are you spending a ton of time on complaining about the current president or your current situation or the way that the politics are or, your neighbors that are driving you crazy? Like, how much time are you spending on that every day? How much time are you spending on a weekly basis, monthly, yearly, right? And the reason why this conversation is coming up is because my wife's cousin came over and he, a huge Trump supporter, and we started going on to, like, obviously the gas prices, because, like, we just started driving more and more again because I have to take my son to school. Whereas in the summer, like, I was filling up my tank like every 2 to 3 weeks, whereas now I'm filling up like 3 times a week. So, like, obviously for someone like me, like, I'm feeling the pinch, not really the pinch, but, like, I see the gas price every time I look. I'm like, fuck, like, I just spent $60 on gas and I just did that like 2 days ago. Like, this is bullshit, right? But that's the end of it. Like, it's like, okay, this is bullshit, and then I'm done with it. But then there's individuals where they will spend like days or hours on the gas price. And, like, what are you going to do? Like, at the end of the day, like, the bitching and complaining and the focus that you're taking away from your business or, like, from your personal development and all this kind of stuff, like, what is that complaining or that focus on Biden or inflation or free money or the illegals or anything else? Like, what is that doing for your business? And the answer is, it's doing nothing. Like, literally nothing. The only thing it's doing is it's making you pissed off, right? And then what ends up happening is you, like, the more and more you get pissed off and you're focusing on that kind of shit, it puts you down this rabbit hole of, like, this very limited mentality. As, like, there's 2 types of mentality. You have your limited and then you have your abundant, right? So limited is like, there's only so much work to go around. Like, because that's one of the things he was saying to me. He's like, well, because I'm like, this doesn't affect my business. Like, it doesn't affect my life. Because as a business owner, do we have it tough? Yes. But the number one thing that we have going for us is we get to create our destiny. We get to sell more. Like, for me, my answer for everything, like, I just spent $8 a pound on fucking chicken, like, and, like, it's $8 a pound. Like, we spent for a pound and a half, it was like $12 or $13, which is absolutely freaking crazy, right? And, like, my answer to everything is like, gas prices went up, I need to sell more fences. Like, well, your taxes are going up, well, that's going to cost me an extra fence, right? The gas prices, like, he's like, well, your workers and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, okay, well, maybe it'll cost me an extra $5,000-$10,000 a year. Well, I make $2,500 off of a fence, so, like, that means I got to sell an extra 2 to 4 fences this year. Like, is it worth my time and energy to spend bitching about, like, what's going on, or do I decide to play by the rules that are happening now, of, like, the rules of the game, and then I decide to instead focus my attention on selling more goddamn fences? And the answer for me is, I'm going to sell more freaking fences, because literally, that's, like, the answer to everything. And he's like, that's your answer to everything. I'm like, when it comes to money, yes. Like, we just have to sell more fences. For you, like, you make, like, he's a handyman. Like, and he's 65 years old, and he has these, like, repeat customers and everything else. Like, he sells it for, like, he'll make $300 in a day or $1,000 in a day. So, like, for him, if the gas prices are, like, they cost him extra $2,000, like, there's a chance that he might only have to work an extra 3 days to recover from that. Like, I don't know. It's just a waste of time. I just see complaining and arguing and whining and bitching about, like, what could have been, what should have been, the people that are in power and everything else. Like, unless, honestly, I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, like I said, I don't care if you're a fucking pelican, right? The only thing that the politicians, the only time your opinion really counts, honestly, is if you are in the top 1%. If you are worth, like, north of $100 million, then chances are that maybe your opinion kind of counts. But until you're probably in, like, the $500 million range, like, it doesn't matter, right? So spend the time on focusing on how to improve your business, how to improve your personal life, your personal development, like, all that kind of stuff. If you spent the time focusing on that, and if you were the type of individual that keeps on blaming Trump and Biden, well, then if you took all that energy, the time, the effort, the energy on that and put it into your business or your personal development, like, you would be 10 times further ahead. And it doesn't mean anything. Like, this shit doesn't mean anything. Because the people like you, if you're focusing on all that shit, and I hope all my competitors are, because they're spending time on that, bitching about what could have been, should have been, and everything else. Well, I'm focusing on what is like currently happening in my reality, and I'm figuring out how to make it work for me, right? So that means I'm going to be further ahead. He's like, well, what about the supply issues and everything else? Well, if I order my shit ahead of time and I have it and no one else have it, well, I guess I'm in a pretty good situation, right? There's always going to be winners. There's always going to be losers. You have to play the game. You have to realize what's going on. You have to take advantage. 2021, we're getting towards the end of the year. There was no like the supply issues and everything else. Well, the name of the game is to buy it now because the price is going up 40%. Like if you have the shit in your yard and you bought it for 30-40% less than everyone else and they got to wait and everything else, well, now you can install like in 2 weeks where everyone's got to wait 8 and 10. So what ends up happening is you get your shit for 30 to 40% less. And then because you can install it quicker, you can start charge a premium on top of it compared to the other people. Because if someone can get it in 2 weeks compared to 8 and 10 or 14 to 16 to 20 because it's back ordered, well, they're going to spend the money with you. Like, so it could go from me charging 8,000. Now I can charge 9,000, but that 9,000 is really even worth close to 11,000 because I'm getting my shit for so much cheaper than everyone else. So anyway, stop focusing on the shit that doesn't matter. I talked about this in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The number one thing that they talk about is like your circles, right? And your circle of influence, right? What can you actually influence on a day-to-day basis? Focus on that. If you're focusing on all the other shit that you can't influence, like the president, like it doesn't matter. Forget that. Focus on what you can do and take charge of your life and stop handing over that control to the president because he's not doing shit for you. Have a great day.